So all of you settle down, be cross-legged if it is comfortable. Straighten your back, don't put a hunch. Take deep breaths, feel relaxed. Breathe rhythmically. Imagine a large pool of lake in front of you. And the ripples on the pool are the thoughts in the mind. Let the ripples flow away and don't follow that. The large lotus in the middle of the lake, on which is seated your dear Ishta. The Ishta is full of love, full of joy, full of knowledge and compassion. No sorrow, no weakness, no ignorance touches the Ishta. The Ishta approaches you slowly and occupies the seat of your heart. He is full of light and he removes the darkness in your mind. He is full of strength and he removes weakness in your mind. The Ishta is full of bliss and he removes the sorrow in your mind. You salute him. Ishta blesses you, touching your forehead. He gives his knowledge, he gives his light, and he gives his bliss. You are one with him in knowledge, in bliss. Bow down before your Ishta and offer your humble salutations. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. The previous class we had an interesting point to conclude. It said that the mind has to be withdrawn from the various objects of attraction slowly. Slowly, shani shani. So, what is slowly withdrawing the mind? It is not on the time scale. It is, even though the time scale is used, it is not to be understood as slowly as in the time scale, but we are not supposed to do it fast, in the sense that we are not supposed to jump into the state of meditation. So mind has the tendency to get scattered away, and as it gets deviated, diverted stage by stage from the object of adoration, in the same route we have to trace the mind back onto the object of adoration. If it leaves the station from A, B, C, D, then you have to trace it back to D, C, B, A, rather than jumping from D to A in one stroke. So this may take time, because we have to remember where the mind got diverted to, and you go back. So every time you have to remember what is the benefit of this exercise. You will become more aware of all the diversions the mind is going through, because you have to remember back. When you want to recoil, you have to remember each of those diversions, so your awareness will increase. And the exercise of tracing back is slightly tough. So mind always wants to go in the comfort-seeking, easy-going path. So what it will do is, henceforth, when you sit for meditation, knowing well that it has to trace back from all the diversions, it will further not get diverted at all. He says, "Arey, if I have to go 10 kilometers away, then I have to walk 10 kilometers back." So this Dhyana Gamyananda will not bring me back to the point again. He will make me again walk 10 kilometers, reverse direction. So better don't go at all. So the mind will be very, very obligated to this particular sankalpa. So Atma Samstam Mana Krantva, putting the mind onto the Atma, na kinchidapi chintayed. He further does not engage in any other thought other than his own self. And then the same idea being projected, the Shani Shani has been explained here. Then it comes Prashanta Manasam. See, when we do that, what happens? Then the mind gets calm. Even the little bit of guided meditation that we do, we give a suggestion that let the mind be at peace. Let the mind not follow the thoughts. Let the thoughts be taken to be ripples, and allow the ripples to just flow away and not be pursued. So this particular suggestion relieves the burden of the mind not to do any calculation behind those disturbing thoughts. Actually, we get burdened by the calculations that we put behind those thoughts, not by the thoughts themselves. So the moment you start calculating, then we feel burdened, because some calculations are favorable, some calculations are not favorable, and subsequent to which you have the like and dislike coming in, and that's a bit of a burden. So many things can be simply dropped on the way, and at least during the time of meditation, we have to drop it on the way, not carry it into the heart of meditation. So Prashanta Manasam Yenam, such a mind the mind which has become placid, calm, Upaiti Shanta Rajasam, he gets a mind in which the rajasic tendencies jumping about, doing all of calculations, the likes and dislikes, all these are characteristics of Rajas. So this Rajas, they become Shanta. Brahma Bhutam, he gets identified with the Brahman. Akalmasham, how is this Brahman? This Brahman is stainless. Stainless Brahman. Stainless means qualityless. Qualityless in the sense that it's inclusive of all qualities, at the same time it is therefore not specific to any quality. The person watching the match duel between two chess players, he doesn't belong to either of the group. Magnus Carlsen wins $1 million. He's not going to give me even 1 rupee. So I don't have any stakes in that game at all, unless I bet on it. Okay, I am going as a witness or as an audience. So naturally, I am not going to be a benefactor of the match. So there is no wisdom in me to take sides and be worried about it. My objective to go to that arena is to watch the game and appreciate the game for game's sake, not to take sides and then feel elated or offended. or let down. So Brahma Bhutam, the state of neutrality is actually Brahma Bhutam. Brahman is neutral. So what is the being of Brahman? The being of Brahman is being neutral. How it's actually a big exercise for us to be neutral. And staying neutral, we are in a better position to play the game that which the players themselves miss out.
What is the connotation of Bhuta?
Bhuta.
In this word Brahma Bhuta?
Bhuta means being. The being the Brahman. Brahma Bhuta means becoming Brahman. Swarna Bhutam. Swarna Bhutam means being golden. Loha Bhutam, being iron. So Brahma Bhutam, being the Brahman. But what is this Brahman? It is akalmasham. It is stainless. That one quality of being stainless, that comes to the meditator who is meditating on the Brahman. If the one bad thing, or I should say good thing about the mind, is that it takes the qualities, aspects and attitudes of the objects it dwells on. You think positive, your mind remains positive. You think negative, and the opposite happens. So Brahman, being equal to all, same for all, and being neutral, the moment mind, longer the period of time the mind dwells on the Atma, the mind also acquires this fantastic quality of stainlessness. So the scales of separation and discrimination, they all fall away from the eyes. From the intellectual purview, they all fall away. All our differences come because of our priorities, our prerogatives, and our biases. We find that all these are not the properties of Brahman, not the qualities of Brahman. So from the state of Brahman, that's where the true equality and the true democracy, so to say, from a governance perspective, comes into picture. Getting identified, becoming Brahman. Yunjanevam sadatmanam. So therefore, the person who continuously engages in such an exercise, what happens is a beautiful word is being used here. I often get enamored, I should say, by this particular usage of Brahma Samsparsham. You see, Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham. Here actually, if you read the English part, he attains easily, Sukhena, attains absolute bliss, Sukham, Ashnute. And then what is the Sukham? The bliss of the contact with Brahman. You see, the word contact is used. This is actually a teaching. This is an indirect warning also for us. The teaching here gives us an indirect warning. You see, in the jivas, in the human being, or any jiva for that matter, specifically in the human being that we are, where do we derive joy? How do we derive joy? The desires, the fulfillment of our aspirations, how do we desire and how do we achieve it? Okay, how do we desire? We do not know. We say that it is the force of all our past desires which is culminating to the present state of desiring something. But then, how do we fulfill the desire?
The outside world. We'll do something, some action in the outside world to satisfy that.
Okay, that you do, but still that's only preparation. You're doing something, okay, that's a preparation. How do you actually get the joy, the desire being fulfilled? What happens at the time of the fulfillment of the desire? The fulfillment of the desire is an immediate consequence of that. Well, that is there in the process. Sense organs stimulated is getting in the process. But something happens, very, very important thing happens prior to the fulfillment of the desire. Just prior to the fulfillment of the desire. It happens in every fulfillment, I should say.
We experience that
again only. So there is
They're expecting that.
Expectation is still much ahead in time. We have almost come to the point of fulfillment.
You feel joy.
That's the past fulfillment. I am saying before. Sparsha, contact. You're going to eat something, say you are going to have a nice meal. Okay, you put an effort. Tobacco ice cream, you want to take. Right? You have the money. You have purchased, you got the money. Now the objective is you enjoying tobacco ice cream, whatever. You got the money, you take your cycle, you go up to the shop, you wait for the shop to be open, everything is okay. Right? And you see the good pictures, but unless you touch the ice cream and put it in your mouth, is it fulfilled? Almost in every fulfillment, you will see prior to this, there is a touch.
Not one person responded to your answer.
Yeah.
Contact with desire.
Absolutely, that's perfect. Contact. Without that contact, you cannot get fulfillment. In every form of joy, there is a contact involved. See, a cloth is there. If it is there in the shop, are you happy?
No.
Okay, you purchase it and you keep it in the cupboard. Are you happy? Unless you wear it, and then that sparsha is there. You have jewelry. Put it in the safe. Are you happy? No, but you wear it. Wearing is contact. Always contact comes into picture to lead you to fulfillment and then subsequently to desire. And this person, yogi, from the perspective as per Krishna's, advice, mind dwelling on the Atma will now get the Brahma Samsparsham, he will get the contact with Brahman. Because that means what? The warning here is that he must not hanker or thirst for other contacts. He must not thirst for other contacts. That is, there are some contacts are necessary. For example, if you want to eat food, there is a contact that the tongue has to touch the food. Your hand has to touch the food. Naturally, it should be chewable. It should be palatable. All those things are there. Essential contacts are not debated here. The extravenous contacts, which the mind is being madly led into, which is uncontrollable. So those are the contacts which a person he has to harness the potential which is hidden behind all these contacts, all these urgency to enjoy these contacts. So the moment he is able to harness this potential, when will do it? At the time of meditation, naturally he is coming in close quarters with the Atman, with Brahman. And then in that state of mind, he will enjoy the touch of the Brahman.
Maharaj, when you talk about the word contact, suddenly it comes into our mind that contact is associated to indriyas.
Obviously, in fact, see, do you have any one experience in the world which is not in Indriya? Yes.
Physical experiences need indriya.
They are all Indriya.
Then which antarindriya
Antariya.
works in associating the mind to Brahman? Which antarindriya?
Mind is now manase naiva aptavyam neha nanasti kinchana. Manase naiva. So the mind has to settle on the idea that there is nothing that needs to be attained beyond the Atma.
So now mind becomes the indriya for contact.
Manashashtani indriyani. Krishna says, mind is the sixth indriya. According to Krishna, mind is also one of the indriyas. So that is the reason why the contact becomes even more relevant. So it is a kind of a forewarning, not readily telling that, see, already Matra Sparshaha has already been told in the 3rd chapter. Matra Sparshaha means what? They are contact of the senses. Senses coming in the contact with the objects. Matra here means objects, sense objects. Tobacco ice cream. So the tongue comes and touches the tobacco ice cream and we get bliss. Nothing less than that. So now such a worldly bliss is I mean, what the text, what it is saying is, it's only trying to increase our awareness. It is slowly leading us from a state of ignorance to a state of awareness. Earlier we were doing things not knowing the consequences. Now we will be engaged in things knowing the consequences. So when you know the consequences, you know to what extent you will have to engage yourself in. Full stop. The cricket match is happening today, and tomorrow I have got a very important thing to attend to. Now we have our priorities sorted out. So now if a guy is so mad about cricket match, naturally he is going to fall behind the delivery of the following day's deadlines. So now he will have to check himself from overindulgence. So where does he get the energy? All of a sudden will he get? Unless he practices on a day-to-day basis some of these withdrawal techniques. So on the day when his mind has to be totally concentrated on a singular object of attainment or adoration or urgency, he will be able to achieve it, 100%. It is not only collecting the mind and putting it, but also achieving success in that particular action. So unless we are 100% applying to that particular activity, we are not going to get the fulfillment of that activity. And mind is the only object here that should be within our control. So that's why Brahma Samsparsham. Then he says, such a person enjoys Sukham. Sukhena. Sukhena means very easily. Sukham Ashnute. He enjoys the bliss. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Duktatma Sarvatra Samadarshana. Again, the idea is when a man sees the Lord in everything and everything in the Lord. You see, it's like a homogeneous sheet of water. Wave is contained in the water is contained in the wave. Can you split the wave and the water? We cannot. Can you look at the wave ignoring the water? Can you look at the water ignoring the wave? Nothing. Either way, it is not possible, right? So this kind of equanimity in vision settles. Ikshate. He gets that vision. For whom yoga yuktatma, a person who is yoked within himself. The mind is yoked within himself, yoked in Atma. Ikshate, he sees. What he sees? He sees the God in everything and everything in God. Or rather, the Atman in everything and everything in the Atman. See, that is the knowledge which is very, very unique to this spiritual knowledge. This knowledge we do not get in any of the objective knowledges. That's the reason why this is this has no precedence. This knowledge of oneness, where you see the Atman in everyone, Sarvabhutastam Atmanam, Sarvabhutastam, the Atman is there everyone. If I say that I am great, the scripture says, you are great. You know why? Because everyone is great. You are not great in exclusion. You are great in inclusion. So he says that seeing the Atman in me, and then the same Atman in everyone. So thereby, later on he comes up with a very beautiful idea. Again, the same thing comes in here. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra. Here earlier, what did he say? Atmanam pashyati. He sees the Atma. And now he comes and says that Atma is nothing but Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna, who is an avatara during that time, he is identical to Atma. He is a Purushottama. Later on it will come. So, Mam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvam Cha Mayi Pashyati. So, seeing Krishna in everything and seeing everything in Krishna. Actually, in 10th chapter, which is about 4 chapters ahead of this, Krishna very daringly, very boldly he declares, when Arjuna asks, please narrate your goodness and holiness, I would like to hear the narration. Sri Krishna begins with this narration that Aham Atma. He doesn't say that I am Vasudeva's son. Vasudeva's son. He doesn't say that. That is, Vasudeva's son is basically the signature we put in the letters. Application form, admission form, letters and all, we put our signature. Correct? That is Vasudeva's son. That signature, he reserves it for the last. But at the very beginning, he says, Aham Atma. Which is this Atma, the yogi sees in every individual and equally within himself. So I am that Atma. Therefore, here the idea is getting advanced here that this person, yogi, who is a Yuktatma, he is able to see the Krishna, Atma Rupa Krishna everywhere, and he is able to see that Atma Rupa Krishna within himself also. And for such a person, the beauty here is that the Lord is never lost in the vision. This is a wonderful idea. See, you may say that, okay, I have had my food. When you are having the food, now you have actually every time we have a joy not from a very objective standpoint. We have the joy from a subjective standpoint. Whenever you feel joyful, happy, that time you cannot separate yourself from happiness. You are identified with happiness. You are identified. The moment you actually separate yourself from the happiness, you will find that you are not getting the adequate amount of happiness. So the state of being happy or joyful or blissful is a state of oneness, momentary oneness. That time we really, in fact, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, very nicely it says, it takes a very common human experience to say that even in carnal pleasures, a person is having the same nature of the bliss, because we can clearly see that during that time he forgets himself. He becomes one with that bliss and he forgets himself. So that's actually a very beautiful point for us to deliberate on. Is it because of the happiness we forget ourselves, or is it because we forget ourselves, thereby we are happy? Actually, the scripture says you forget yourself. There is a particular trigger in your mind. You are running behind an object of your desire, and upon attaining that object of desire, momentarily the mind has no clearly well set objective. At every point in time, mind is having some objective, sankalpa or vikalpa, either a favorable objective or an unfavorable objective. Mind is always engaged. That is the dharma, monodharma. But at the time, for a split moment, when the mind, after attaining the object of desire, after a lot of parishrama or a lot of work, you're going to the shop, waiting for the shopkeeper to open, you tender the money, you purchase the item, still it is not over. You have to open the box, and then you have to take a scoop. Still it is not over. You have to put it in your mouth. Still it is not over. You have to apply your mind. The moment you apply your mind, that time the objective of actually requiring to come in contact with the ice cream has been fulfilled. At this particular moment, your mind is actually objectless. It is objectless. And now this status, the being an objectless state itself is a state of bliss. It is not me who I am saying this. All the greats who have lived in the past have actually said this. So in the state of momentary objectlessness, mind experiences joy, which is its natural state.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Now, the same thing I can say about sadness, right? When I'm experiencing complete sadness.
In sadness, what is happening? In sadness also, I'm not able to classify sadness as forgetfulness, because it is you are completely obsessed with the object of sorrow. Completely obsessed with the object of sorrow, which is different from yourself. In fact, that's the reason why it takes you to the other extreme of joy, which is sorrow. You are farthest from yourself if you are sorrowing, and you are closest to the self if you are enjoying. And possibly extreme may look alike. Extreme may look alike.
But can't I say I'm also during happiness? I'm completely focused on that ice cream. Or I'm completely
Yes, that's true. You are. That's the reason. I don't deny that. What has happened here is, but that is an object of your want. No, that's an object of your like, not dislike. So, in the case of objects of liking, you are willfully, voluntarily, you are pawning yourself to the object, and therefore, sukhanushayi raga. You have already. Now the question here is, you have already had the experience of joy in contact with such an object. Under the premonition, under the presupposition that I will now also experience the joy, anticipating the joy, you are jumping into that activity. And since all along you have been driven by joy, you have been guided by joy, you have been remembering joy, you have been motivated by joy, acting upon joy, and therefore leading to the object which is joyful, therefore joy continues. See, it is not that all of a sudden something is coming, but the moment actually you are joyful is not because of the object itself, it is because of the self. But what do we say? We say the ice cream gave me the joy, gave me the pleasure. I derived immense pleasure by having and enjoying that ice cream. What our experience is correct, but our attribution is wrong. We had the right experience of the joy, and we did a wrong attribution of attributing it to the ice cream. Say likewise to all the objects of desire, we are incorrectly attributing it to the object. But the real joy actually comes from the state of objectlessness. This is actually a kind of a theory to explain the forward going and the recoiling of the mind, taking into consideration the forward going and the recoiling of the mind. Whenever you run behind an object, it goes forward, and when the object is attained, the mind recoils and comes back to the self. So this particular model is taken to explain joy and sorrow. Okay, so now in this case, Krishna says, a person who is engaged constantly in dwelling on the Atma, Brahman, or the Krishna, to him, I am never lost. That is, he never loses me in his vision. So that means he will see Atma everywhere. It is not momentary, just as the guy who is enjoying the bliss. The guy who is enjoying the so-called small little pleasure, to him also the Lord was visible as joy, as pleasure, as happiness. It is the same Lord, same Atma whom we are experiencing as joy. There is no denial of the fact. But it is momentary. The next moment, or a few minutes later, we again come back to the state of our earlier state of maybe dissatisfaction or disappointment, or running behind something else. So we are not satisfied forever. Momentary satisfaction is what we get out of fulfillment of these worldly pleasures. There's nothing wrong in it, but we are trying to understand the dynamics. Ultimately, Shastra is only helping us to understand the dynamics of the mind, subsequent to which we will take the wise decision. Sri Ramakrishna used to enjoy the kind of spices being added to during seasoning. Correct? He enjoyed the food that he took. It's not that the person who is a yogi and to whom as the shloka says, the Krishna is never lost in the sight, it doesn't mean that he will not enjoy the tobacco ice cream. But he knows why he is enjoying and how he is enjoying the tobacco ice cream. There's a lot of difference between helplessly enjoying and then enjoying with full knowledge. This man is completely knowledgeable. And to him, the Lord is never missed. That means every object will be an object of joy, object of bliss for him.
The person is always concentrated on himself, so then we won't have the difference between eating the spice and without eating the spice.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. They are not. You see, the question here is, if a person who is always established in Brahman, or he is not getting a vision different from Brahman, as the shloka says, then how can he distinguish between the state of Brahman with the spices and the state of Brahman without spices? See, here there are two types of mental states. One is a mental state where you experience the difference, but attribute it to God. The second thing is you don't see anything but God. The second is a meditative state. The first is your what is called a sahaja state. In the sahaja state, what you will do is the guy will go to the tobacco ice cream shop and he will eat the ice cream. But if he asks the question, if he is being probed into saying that his ice cream gave you, he will say that my very nature is joy. He will not say that the tobacco ice cream gave me joy. He will say that it was tasty. He will explain all the palate experiences. He will give all that. But if he is probed further and says, did you become joyful after taking the ice cream? He will say, no, I am always with joy. It is not that out of sorrow I went and took a tobacco ice cream to become joyful. I was in joy, I was working through joy, and the whole thing also resulted in joy. He was never split away from the state of joy.
So then, what do you mean when you said that Swami Ramakrishna,
Sri Ramakrishna.
he liked the spices?
That's precisely what I'm trying to say. See, the liking is the training of the palate. According to the training of the palate, the likes and dislikes are defined. But the question is, do I lose myself behind the liking, or I am a master of liking? So in the Sahaja state, what you will engage in all kinds of your so-called humanistic, worldly, not worldly in the sense not driven by the world, but belonging to the world. You will have all kinds of interaction. You will be able to appreciate it. But when you are probed further and then when you are asked why and how and who, he will have to give a conclusive answer being in the state of Brahman. He will not give the answer from the state of being that ordinary little man encaged within that 2 cubic foot or 3 cubic foot body.
But what is the meaning of appreciation if it is not tied with joy? Does the word have any meaning anymore? To feel appreciation for something.
You see, that's the reason. That's what. See, the kind of mind which you get in meditation. In that meditation, there is no distinction at all. So for him at that time, somebody opening the eyelid and touching the eyeball, which is the test the doctors do to see whether you are still alive. It's a state, not even pulse, not the heartbeat, but the reflex which the eyeballs give when you throw light into it. If the eyes don't move, then you are practically dead. Eyes are supposed to retract. The eyelids, you will find some kind of an activity happening in the eyeball when you throw light into it. Now, when Ramakrishna was in the ecstatic mood, Mahimacharan opens the eyelid because his eyes were closed. He opens the eyelid, plunges his finger into the eyeball, not light, but finger. You see the amount of reaction he must be having if he was with some sense and life. There was absolutely no reaction. And then he felt the pulse. The pulse had stopped. He took the stethoscope and then checked the heartbeat. There was zero heartbeat. So now that is the state of uniform joy. That's the state of joy in Brahman. The joy of Brahman. Joy from Brahman. Okay? That is, it has no quality. But from the same Brahman, out of which the creation has come, out of which various experiences are also fashioned, and the experiencer with his body and indriyas and mind, now these experiences, they get conditioned according to the indriya and the object. And the result is joy only. Just as the way you take a clay, which is uniform in its content, in its texture, in its format and color, but taking the clay, you start making pots, you start making toys, big and small. Each of these toys have their own color, composition, but essentially you will tell that they're all clay. Likewise, the joy that you have behind the palette is also a specific kind of a toy joy, which is not divested from the joy of the Brahman. Just as the clay doll is not divested from its property of being the original clay, and the form being revealed by the specificity that you have put into that object. Likewise, that when you come with an experience with an object, till then you will have what is called as the disparity, the variations. But the moment you go to the joy, you will say that it is joy of Brahman. The moment you look into the material of the object, you will say the material is clay. That's why I say when you probe into a particular experience and really ask him about the real content of the experience, he will say the content is Brahman only, is Atma only. The content is Atma, but it has got various forms and formats. Just as your uniform clay becomes various objects, likewise, even the joy which is undivided, indistinguishable, they become divided, distinguishable, and staggered in the various kinds of that Indriya Sukha that we get. The Indriya Sukha is also Sukha only. In fact, Ramana Maharshi says the inebriation that you get by taking, using substances, even that inebriation is also the same quality of that of the divine inebriation. Both the inebriation, they are not different at all. They are same. He says the only difficulty here is that one is sustainable, the other one is not sustainable. The one is permanent, the other one is terribly impermanent. Question is, now choose which one you want. Okay, so coming back to this, the Lord is never lost in his sight. That means what? I may still go and have the Ibaco ice creams, but I will not lose myself in this particular joy of having had the Ibaco ice cream. We all understand what is when we are losing ourselves. Sarva bhuta sthitam yomam bhajat ekatvam astitah sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mahi vartate. Same idea that the Lord, he says that the Lord exists in me. He exists. See, the earlier two shlokas are uttered from the point of view of the yogi. This particular shloka is uttered from the point of view of Atma, Brahman, and Krishna himself.
Then Ishvara also comes.
Sayogi mahi vartate Ishvara. Avatara is Ishvara. Ishvara here says mahi vartate. Such a person, he exists in me. So the real ownership, see for instance, there is a very specific idea that is communicated here. Oftentimes we say that a clay doll made out of clay certainly exists in the clay. It doesn't exist outside the clay. It exists in the clay only. Both of them are living in Ishvara only. Then why specifically Ishvara is telling here? Sarvatha vartamanopi. In whatever condition he may be. What does it mean? Sarvatha vartamanopi means he may be eating, he may be sleeping, he may be walking, he may be talking, he may be, having so-called worldly interactions. Whatever condition he may be, that fellow is existing in me. Then I ask one question. I am not such a person. I have not realized the meaning and the realization of the earlier two shlokas. I see objects different from God. For me, going to temple and sitting in front of the divine is the only way to experience the presence of God. Or possibly at the time, few minutes in the morning, few minutes in the evening, when I, with a firm resolve, I sit back and then take the holy name which I have got from my master. So they are the only times of interaction where I seem to be in touch with God. Rest of the time I am in touch with the world. Be it so. Now in such a case, such as me, described in this way, do I exist in the Ishvara or not? So he says, Sayogi mahi vartate. Mahi here means Ishvara, Krishna. Such a person is existing in me. Then what about me? What about that worldly person? Does he exist in the Krishna or not? Does he exist in the Ishvara or not? Then why does Ishvara specifically say, this yogi is existing in me? I think I should give some food for thought for you guys. Okay, so think about it. Why is the Lord making a special mention that this fellow is in me, as if the others are not in me?
Because yogi is conscious. other cells are not conscious. So they are within. The consciousness is missing there.
See, that yogi who is being established in unity, so he has already attained. Such a person who has attained everything, he exists in me. So, if you see this statement in a dualistic sense, it will not make sense at all. As if the Ishvara is a god sitting somewhere. If you have that idea, then we will get into the complication of understanding that if everything is made out of God, then everything exists in the God, should have existed in the God. But here he says, no, not everything exists in me, this man exists in me. Makes a very specific mention of the yogi existing in me. So what is this existence? You take the air. You take the air. In the air, you have gandha, smell. Smell exists in the air. Does the air exist in the smell? Air doesn't exist in the smell, but smell exists in the air. So that way, all of us exist in the God. But does God exist in everyone? No. God exists in every one of us. God exists in every one of us. But not everyone is existing in God. That's the meaning which is coming from here. God is existing in everyone. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshe tishtati. The God is sitting in everyone's heart so that he can be realized. Because he is the one to be realized. And in an attempt to realize him, we are realizing everything else. Thinking that God is here, God is there, God is somewhere else, God is in the ice cream, God is in the job, God is in the house, God is in the car, God is in the new mobile. It is the same godliness which is permeating through all these various objects of creation. That Shakti is drawing our mind towards that. Get us bound to the object, but we are forgetful of the God. But God is still existing within us. So this particular shloka says, which is true, that God is existing within us. So if you take the elephant toy, if you take the mouse toy, the clay is existing in that. The clay is existing in those respective toys. But is the toy existing in the clay? Toy is not existing in the clay. Karana rupena, like as a karana it says. Shastra has got a karya karana sambhada is there. Karana rupena vartate, but the effect kari rupena kadapina. As an effect it will never stay there. But here God says, he exists in me. So what does it mean? He makes an exception to this particular jnani, yogi, that this particular elephant toy does not exist in the clay, that particular rabbit toy does not exist in the clay, this particular mouse toy does not exist in the clay, but this yogi toy exists in me, exists in this clay. So what is this yogi toy? The yogi toy is not a toy at all. That means the yogi toy is not a toy at all. You get my point? So the yogi has identified himself one with the Brahman. The scripture here actually says that he has become a Brahma Swarupam. It is not elephant Swarupam or rabbit Swarupam, but he has become Brahma Swarupam. Because he is Brahma Swarupam and the Ishvara is Brahman himself, Brahman within Brahman, obviously water is living within water. What great knowledge is required to understand this water is within water. So this fellow, in whatever way he is existing, Pashyan, Shrinman, Sprishan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Swasan, later on it will come. We have already seen in the 5th chapter. The guy who is engaging in various kinds of action, in his mind, it never crosses in his mind that he is different from God. Because his mind is impregnated with the thoughtfulness of Brahman. He has got identified with Brahman, and that gets a verbal approval from the Ishvara himself. He says, this person is now existing in me. How? As Brahman himself. Because in Ishvara there is nothing other than Brahman. So since the yogi also has become Brahman, he exists in me as Brahman. It's a beautiful idea. And then he says, Atmopamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna. So yogi paramamata. Now coming to the worldly perspective, he says, now such a person who has attained the state of Brahmanhood, how does he look upon others? From his eyes the scales are fallen. There is no, he doesn't have a condescending nature. There is no conceited, he's never conceited, not condescending, nor cocky or whatever. Okay, so many of these words are there, which all brings out differences, superiority complexes, nothing of that sort. He is identified one with everyone, whomever he interacts. That's the reason why, if at all you happen to meet a person of this caliber, instantly you will get attracted to him, and you will have a unique experience of that person showering tons of love upon you in exclusion. You may go with possibly 5 members. 5 people as a group, you may be going to this realized soul. But your experience will be is that, no, this man loves me more than the other 4. This is a very uniform experience. All the people who have met the holy men have said this. That this man loves me. I don't know about whether he loves other guys or not, but this man loves me. In fact, to the extent that he loves me more than these. And this will be the experience of all those who go to him. The reason is, he instantly gets connected with the people at the very core of his existence, core of his identification. And momentarily, he makes the people forget their lesser identities. And this holy man is able to lift their mind and make them experience the joy that this guy is having. That's a remarkable miracle he performs, and he does it, without any sankalpa, without any without any effort. It is his swabhava, because he has become that. His very being breathes the godliness. Then Arjuna asks the question, Yoyam yoga stvaya. This samyata means the sameness of vision. The sameness of vision that you are talking about, I am not able to see that. I am not able to see that. Etasyaham na pashyami. I am not able to realize it. I am not able to appreciate it. Why? Chanchalatvat. My mind is very jittery and it is going through a lot of ups and downs, distracted, vacillating. Because these are all fundamental qualities of the mind. Because of that, I don't see the sameness which you are now advising me. And then he says, just as the clouds which are there in the yonder sky, they are rent asunder. When the wind comes, they are blown away apart. Blown away apart, correct? They are not like mountains sitting in one place. They will be dragged here and there. They will be changing shapes. They will be forming smaller clouds, or maybe aggregating to bigger clouds. Continuous changes keep happening. How? Because of Vayu. So, and this wind is very turbulent. So, just as the wind which is turbulent I am not able to control, this mind is also like wind I am not able to control. And then Krishna says, he doesn't say, he rather accepts it, accepts Arjuna's statement of the problem, and he says, Samshayam. The first thing which a teacher does to the student, is, in the modern times we can see that in a workshop or a seminar or a conference, when something is being presented and there is a guy who shoots a question, oftentimes you will see the speaker appreciating the questioner, saying that that's a very good question. Correct? So that means he is acknowledging the fact that the guy has listened to the talk. First is acknowledging the fact that he has listened to the talk, and subsequently which comes to the relevant of the question and whether the question is answerable or not. That's also a deeper problem. But first he thinks is he acknowledges. So likewise, that is the mark of a good teacher. To embolden the student for having taken the courage of asking the question, however stupid it may be, amidst the large, wide, erudite gathering. You may not know, but he has mustered the courage to ask that question. So likewise, we now reading Krishna, Arjuna, after several thousands of years, we may often think that, Arey, what is this Arjuna? He is asking such a stupid question. Naturally, one has to, the mind is kind of disturbed, as everyone knows. What is so great about asking this question? Correct, na? So, Krishna removes that possible castigation against Arjuna by himself appreciating Arjuna. Asamshayam Mahavaho, yes. There is no doubt about what you said. You are right. He has acknowledged the question. Manudur Nigraham, very difficult to control. Chalam, vacillating. But Abhyasena, tu is means but Abhyasena. If you arduous, if you are arduous and then unflinching in your resolve, repeated practice, and Vairagyena. Vairagyena means what? Practicing some amount of dispassion. You have to practice some amount of dispassion. Dispassion here means what? Very simple. Tomorrow I have a very urgent thing to do. Today there is a very basic urge to do some very basic thing. Can I control this basic urge in view of doing something good tomorrow? Everyone faces these circumstances. Tomorrow may be 24 hours, 36 hours or 48 hours. Tomorrow is some near distant past, future. Don't take it literally. So something which I am going to do, which is driven by my own desire, by some basic urge, it's going to affect my immediate future. Now will I engage in this, fulfilling the basic urge or not? Question is that. In view of your own betterment, you are aware of that betterment. You have taken conscious decisions and a lot of efforts have gone towards fulfilling and get better. You have already taken. Coming to the IIT is not a joke. You have given a lot of, burnt midnight oil, given yourself the pain, and never had the pleasure of all those, vagabonds. You saved your time, did all that and came here. So they were all fruitful. And you still have to do something in the future. And the momentum has to be kept up. Now at this point in time, some urge comes and then diverts you. Question is whether you will give yourself to that urge or prepare yourself along the line that you have worked for a better future, which you yourself have chalked out. It is not that somebody is imposing on you. So that is Vairagya. That you are able to check the flow of energy along the lower channels of manifestation. Only with the singular hope and desire of manifesting it better for better return of investments. You save time, you save energy, and you have better return of investments towards the objective that you yourself have set forth. So, all these are what is called as goal-driven approach. So, Abhyasa is goal-driven. You have to do practice, driving you towards the goal. And Vairagya is avoiding all the forces and distractions which will divert you from the goal. So these two forces are very, very essential for somebody to lead a path towards success. Ongoing path to success. There is no definite end called success. It's an ever-going, ongoing path. You get my point? So that's a very, very simple prescription, but he says there is no other way. Abhyasa and Vairagya is the only way to manifest the great potential of the mind of self-control. Asanyatatmana yogo dushprapiti me matihi. Vashyatmana tirtha shakyo vaptum upayatah. So asanyatatmana, this abhyasa and vairagya can come only when a man in whom the mind is under control. So that sanyama, if it is not there, then for him dushprapa, the yoga is very difficult to attain. Yoga means what? Yoga here actually would mean the state of concentration, the state of one-pointed concentration. Vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptu upaya. Vashyatmana asayatatmana. They are two opposing states of mind. Vashyatmana is a person for whom the mind is under control. You can clearly picturize, bring to your mind the picture of Sri Krishna holding the warring horses. The warring horses are, held in one hand. That is Vairagya. That comes from Vairagya. That is a Vairagya state. Control completely. You are not allowing that to go in its own way. It's Vairagya.
What is the other one? One is the other types of physics. A person whose mind is under control is Vashyatmana.
Vashyatma. Vasham. Vasham means what? Under control. Vasham. So Atma, here mind, Vashya. He is under control.
And what is the other outcome?
Asanyata. First word. Sanyata means controlled. Sanyama is controlled. So Sanyama, that Atma which is Asanyama, is Asanyata. The Atma which is under Vasha, under the control, is Vashyatma. So a mind, again Arjuna asked the question, a person who is Shraddhayopeta, he has a lot of, many of us know, we are not that bad. When we talk about Abhyasa, when we talk about Vairagya, it's not that we are completely zero in these two. For not acquiring our desired objectives, either we have failed in Abhyasa or we have failed in Vairagya. One of these two must we have failed, due to which we have not got our objective. Okay, but we are not no-goers. We had some quality in in the repeated practice. We had some quality in controlling the mind. We were, but not good enough to achieve the objective. That may be so. So that is the state of mind all of us are in. So we have the Shraddha. That means we have the faith, we have the conviction in the objectives that we have set forth for ourselves to acquire, to attain. We have sufficient convictions. But what is happening is, the person is not diligent, he is ayati, he is not able to apply himself. He is lacking in application, means lacking in the method which will lead him to attaining the objective that he has set forth for himself. So that diligence is missing. And because of the lack of diligence and as a habit of not being diligent, what happens? The mind gets robbed away. First time you miss the goal, second time you miss the goal, third time you miss the goal, fourth time you will be in the habit of missing the goal. So we should not get into the habit of missing the goal. So what happens? That yoga, the goal that you have set forth, Chalita. Chalita means diverted. The mind which is diverted away from the goal will go elsewhere. Because of some, frequent repeated failures. He should not have lost his mind, lost his school and lost his confidence. But somehow he was not able to sustain. And then he loses the confidence and then he gets robbed away. His mind gets robbed away. But he still has the faith and conviction that that goal is supreme and that goal has to be attained. But he doesn't have the diligence to attain it. And his mind in the way also got robbed away. So what will happen to him? It's a very appropriate question. Many people join an institution, half the way they take TC, transfer certificate, they take and go away, leave away. They are not able to match the standards. Correct? They take a TC and then leave the institution. Halfway they abort the journey and take up something else. Well, that's okay. I'm not getting too much psychological into it, but that's what is now. If a person who comes to the registrar and says, "Sir, I want to take a TC," naturally, as his friend, you will be worrying, "Arey, this boy has already spent out of 4 years, he has spent 2 years. Now, what will he do?" You may ask this question to yourself, right? That's what Arjuna is asking. So this guy was given up. What will he do? Kangatim Krishna Gacchati. Where will he go? What will he do? What will happen to him? To such a soul who has got misled. So the same question reiterated in a more emphatic manner. These are the questions I have, and Krishna, you are the one to actually dispel these doubts. And then Arjuna, Krishna here says, Partha, a person who has already put some effort in one particular direction, particularly in the art of controlling the mind. In the art of controlling the mind, if a person has already put some effort, that effort will always bear its result. It will never go waste. Naiveganamutra vinashaha tasya vidyate. That effort will always bear fruit. That effort will never go waste. Iha amutra. Iha means while he is embodied as a living person, or amutra, even if he dies and goes to the other loka, because the scripture believes that karma leads you to other lokas, makes you, gives you some enjoyments. At the fulfillment of some enjoyments, it will bring you back to the earth. Vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyanatil kasit durgatim tata gacchati. So because a person who is working for self-mastery, such a person is actually engaged in a very holy objective. Such a holy objective, even though it is not fulfilled, it will never yield bad results. It will never yield bad. So, Kalyanakrit, it is Kalyanakrit, it's a very holy resolve. Na Durgatim Gacchati, he will never get into bad times. Then after the death, what happens? Punyakrutam Loka, he goes to heaven, which is attained by people who who do very many good acts such as charity, such as seva, service. But this charity, service, all these things that they have done, they are all sakama. Sakama means for some desires, fulfillment of desires. Because they had desires, they reach the higher lokas where these desires will get fulfilled in a grand manner. Shashwati Samaha. So this person also who has done Punyakritam Lokan, after doing Punya, virtuous deeds, to the Loka where he goes, to the same Loka this man also goes, who has controlled his mind, but not full enough. Not completely to the state of realization. But he has done fairly good job in his abhyasa and in his vairagya. Then, but the state in the heaven is not for permanent. There is a time when he has to come back and be born again in the planet. But where will he be born? He will be born in Shuchi. He will be born in a family with good manners, holy people. Shrimatam. He will be born in wealthy people's house. He will be born with people who are virtuous. He will be born amidst wealthy people. But this person will be called as a yoga prashta, a person who has fallen from the yoga. See, the objective of Gita, how much ever you dilute in a common parlance, the real objective is to know yourself. The goal is to attain that self. I may reduce the goal and keep it to be something like, getting a job, or all these ideas can be patched. But the ultimate goal which Sri Krishna proposes through this study and the practice of Gita is mastery of the self, to know the self and to be completely within the self. So, from that objective, the guy gets distracted away. He's called a yoga prashta. And the same person, when he is born again, because of his holy resolve and sufficient amount of work being done already, missed the target, but however, he can continue the journey from where he left. That's the idea we get from here. So that is, suppose I do these kinds of spiritual practices and I don't attain the objective that I have set forth. For not attaining the objective, all my efforts have gone waste. Is it yes or no? In the case of worldly, yes. You give you might have earned a lot of money, but then you gamble it. If you gamble it away, you lose all the money. But in the case of spiritual life, you gamble it away, you're not losing anything. You're not losing anything, he says. You can't gamble away your acquired spiritual wealth. That's what he says. He will be either born in a virtuous family, he will be born in a wealthy family with clean and well-disciplined manners, or he will be born in the family of yogis. But that to be born in the family of yogis is a bit difficult. Krishna says, I will give him all kinds of worldly comforts, worldly wealth, worldly good manners, good people around him. I will supply in compensation to all the good things that he has done in the past. But to make him be born in the virtuous family, for that I am a bit wary, Krishna says.
Right. The previous slide, what does S mean? Like S concedes that Korean was what this also. You explain that S concedes.
S is the Shankaracharya. S is Shankaracharya. Acharya's commentary. Tatratam buddhi sanyogam. So, born in the family of the virtuous people, then he will continue the journey. That is basically, see, from here you are going to Delhi, you get dropped away in the Madhya Pradesh. And then you want to continue the journey, will you come back to Chennai again? Naturally, from where we live. The shloka tells that. The 3 shlokas that we have gone through says that you will continue the journey from where you left. You cannot gamble away your fortune. It's a great hope, It's a great hope because the entire search after your own self apparently seems to be a kind of a blind search. It's a blind search. We don't even know what we are doing, where we are going, how we are going. So that's why Sri Krishna gives this Ashirvachana saying that it may be blind, but have faith in these words. Whatever you have done, they all add to your wealth, bank balance, and that will never leave you.
had fallen into ignorance, we can come back to Chennai.
Come back to? Actually, he is not yet knowledgeable at all. He is still ignorant. He says, what if he forgets that he has to take up such a journey and then come back to Chennai? Forgetfulness is a huge problem. So what he says is, what Krishna says is, by the fact that he got diverted away from the path of yoga, and thereby the life came to an end, and then he's making a fresh start, so to say, with a new body. Okay, because the scripture believes in rebirth. You are born elsewhere. Now the question is, where do you begin your journey? You are not beginning from Chennai. You are beginning from Indore, Madhya Pradesh. You may take an about turn and come back to Chennai. That is your future effort, wrong effort. But just because you lost your life in your previous birth, it came to a gradual halt, and then you got a new body, and then you are continuing your journey. The continuing journey is from where is the question. Krishna says this is from Indore. Krishna doesn't ensure that from Indore you will further continue to Delhi, he never says. It is always your prerogative where you want to go. But you will, after having come up to Indore, that means you are much closer to the destination that you will know. Because when you book the ticket from Chennai to Delhi, it would have said something 1,200 kilometers. Now you suppose next life also you will say I want to go to Delhi, because that is a continuous process. Till you attain Delhi, you will always be asking this question. Whether we will be working proactively towards it or not is a different question. Question remains, however. So when you ask this question, how far is Delhi? Some kind of an answer saying that it's about 700 kilometers. You yourself intuitively will know that I am much closer to the destination than what I was there in the earlier time. You will know. There will be umpteen signals you will get. You see the spiritual path, people say this is blind path. I will say this is very bright path. Very bright. It is more bright than the worldly path that you do not know whether you will clear in tomorrow's examination. But you can be really sure of so many spiritual values that you gain. What are the results of the spiritual? We can be more sure about it. Only guys who have actually led that path, so the guy has already led that path and gone up to Madhya Pradesh. So in him, as an experience, he will know that the path of spiritual path is full of light. And then he must completely change his goal altogether and make Chennai the destination. That is very, very rare. Extremely rare. No, that's what. See, samsara is within this one. See, samsara is like a spiral. Samsara is a spiral, not a circle. Circle means you come back to the same point. Spiral is, you see, in experience, none of the experience goes waste. Actually, in making the best man out of you, the best woman out of you, the best soul out of you, no experience goes waste. Even the heinous of the crime will come and help you to become a better man. So that means after the performance, you are not the same person again. You are something different. You can never, it's not a circle, it's a spiral. The question here is how concentric how thick the spiral is, or how loosely split the spiral is. In one trip, you can come to the center. In one spiral turn, you can go to the center. Or you can take 1,000,000 spiral turns and go to the center. But all of us have to go to the center. There is no other alternative for Swami Vivekananda says, what about the jivas? Even the planets are spiraling towards the center. Not in the sense of cosmological existence, but in terms of evolution. So it is not that you come back to the same, you can never come back to the same point. Logically, even rationally. But the question here is, can we speed up, can we hasten our approach to the center? The Shastra says, yes, you can. Purvabhyasena tenaiva. See, Purvabhyasena. The question that I have made abhyasa to go up to Madhya Pradesh, tenaiva kriyate. That particular Purvabhyasa draws the mind. It will not allow you to get scattered away and then forget the Delhi journey and then take up Chennai journey. Avasho, even if you want to go to Chennai, it will not allow you to go to Chennai. You see? Sri Krishna is so very expressive about protecting this particular jiva, saying that, hey, don't consider ever self lost, never for long. This is a wonderful Ashirvachana, a message of hope, saying that your bank balance will never reduce, it will only increase. Your physical bank balance may come to go up and down, but your spiritual bank balance never reduces. Shabda Brahma Ativartate, even to the extent that it will take you beyond the prescriptions of the Vedic Shastras. What Vedic Shastra says is, heaven is the highest state of attainment. Ativartate, it means it will take you beyond what the Vedic injunctions and dictums are. Prayatnat, by applying assiduously himself, aneka janma samsiddhi. After such several spiraling journeys, yanti param gatim, he will be able to reach the bullseye in the center. Then Krishna concludes with this particular shloka that a yogi, a man of austerity, is better than a man of austerity. Austerity here actually means, people keeping the hand like this. They will not pull down their hand at all. That is the kind of tapas which Krishna is saying. So tapasya. So man of austerity, yogi is better than the man of austerity, and he is considered even superior to the man of knowledge. Jnani bhyogi mathodika. Jnani here means a discriminative knowledge. Karmibhyas chadiko yogi. Basically, Krishna is a salesman. Okay, he has one thing to sell. So if he has to sell this to you, he will name it in all superfluous language than everything else. So that's what he is doing in this shloka. He says, that's why you become a yogi. Karmibhyas chadiko yogi is higher than the man of action. Man of action here means people who believe in achieving the objectives through action. They are the men of action. Okay? Who believes in achieving things through action, which is correct. You may say that, if you don't act, how will you get? It is true, that's not denial. But all those actions will leave you only worldly benefits. Because you cannot have an action beyond the world. Running, how long will you run? Where will you run? Flying, how long will you fly? Where will you fly? You are within this 3D projected world. You cannot go beyond this. So all your material actions will lead you to success in material world. There is no doubt about it. That's why he says the yogi is better than such a person. Yogi is better than a person who is austere, who is physical austerity. He will not eat for 1 month. It's a physical austerity. He will not drink water for 1 month. And then some person, they will not talk at all. They will give up speech. That's another physical austerity. So, but a yogi is more balanced. Because he knows how much to eat, how much to fast. He knows how much to rest and how much to be active. He always follows the middle path. Tasmat yogi bhavarjuna. So Krishna gives his final tasmat. You see, the word tasmat comes here. That means what? We have to accept this particular conclusion, I won't say blindly, I will say wholeheartedly. Tasmad yogi bhavajana, therefore strive to become a yogi. So we come to the end of the 6th chapter, and if you have any doubts, it's not a doubt, but if you want to engage in further conversation, you can ask some few questions.
Perhaps from this part only, like you are talking about this men of action. The thing is, this action will not be just thing from this material world, also this spiritual world also. Because
No, material world presupposes that you will have to engage in action for any attainment. Nahi suktasya simmasya pravishanti mukhe mrigaha. A sleeping lion, in its mouth, a deer will not enter. Got the point? The deer will have to fight out. Spot the deer, run towards it, kill it, and only then it gets its food. That's what. Karma is that. So being a yogi is superior to the person who is with the conviction that action alone will lead me to goal. Action alone. Karmibhyaha are those guys who will vouch only on actions. They don't accept anything other than action. Actually here, Karmibhyaha also includes the Vaidika karma. In Vedas, you have got Karma Kanda and you have got Jnana Kanda. So Karma Kanda, they say that by performance of certain rituals, you can have some of your desires fulfilled. Nay, in fact, all of your desires fulfilled. And the objective of this human life is to fulfill these desires, which are natural born, which are not contradicting dharma. Desires which do not contradict dharma. Those desires can be fulfilled. How? The Vedic corpus says that you can engage in some kind of a specific types of yaga yajna, you will get those enjoyment fulfilled. Now, what kind of an enjoyment people are hankering after? Suppose I want to get a job in a company. Will I have to do a yajna? No. But then what is Veda talking about? Do yajna and then have your enjoyment fulfilled. You get the point? Then what is the relevance of the Vedic rituals which says that you can have your desires fulfilled by performance of this yaga yajna when I become eligible for a particular job through acquisition of the worldly knowledge? That will fetch me a job. Why do I have to do yajna yaga? It looks stupid. No? But then see, these people who prescribe this yaga yajna ritual, they are not fools. What they are saying is, you are not behind, you are not going after this small material. Those things the material world will get you. You want non-material joy of the heavenly types. See, you want a joy not mixed with sorrow. Vedic rituals are fulfilling those kinds of desires which are all pure in its format. It will give you that object of desire without any negatives. In the world, every action has got a positive result and a negative result. But it is only in Vaidika Kriya there are no negative results. There are only positive results. That's what the Vedas they promise. It's a very tall order promise. That particular joy which has no admixture with sorrow is called heavenly joy. You get my point? What is meant by heavenly joy? There is no sorrow at all in that joy. But in every kind of worldly joy, you have got, in fact, more joy, more sorrow. and less joy. But we tend to, or rather, we are in the habit of not looking at the sorrow and only appreciating the joy part of it. But in the joy, the pleasures, and the fulfillment of desires, which the Vedic scripture enjoins, not enjoins, rather promises, they are all not stained by any of the negatives. That's why they are all of heavenly attainments. You may be in this world, you may belong to the world and get that, but it will be of heavenly kind. You are ready for enjoying that kind of a joy. You are prepared for that. So karmibhya, such people, yogi gets results better than these karmibhyas. For whom Niratishaya Sukham, it is called Niratishaya Sukham. Niratishaya Sukham is overwhelming joy, overwhelming happiness. That is promised through karma. That's what Vedas say, and it is true. Otherwise, people would not have engaged in karma. So Krishna says, "Arey, this yogi who is not engaging in those kinds of actions, he gets much more than those people. Adhika means more. The returns which a yogi gets are much more than all these three people. Karmabhihi, jnani means jignasu, a person who is a researcher. A true researcher behind this, trying to find the forces of nature. Getting consumed by the force of nature is different from finding the forces of nature. So jnani, here the jnani is a person who is into the discoveries of the forces of nature. Karmibhya, who has found out a very specific idea, technique of enjoying the pleasures and the happiness of this life unsullied with sorrow. Yogi is much superior to all the three. Therefore, be a yogi is the highest recommendation which Sri Krishna gives us.
Maharaj, what is the definition of fortune according to this chapter?
Fortune, that which is beneficial to you, that which brings you highest benefit is your fortune. Which accrues highest benefit is your fortune.
I have one doubt regarding this material joy that you were explaining. That it comes with the soul. When you love it,
Yeah, obviously, it's very easy. So, your pickles gives you joy. After that, it will give you colic ulcer. Eating rasagullas, it will give you joy, but it will lead you to sugar complaint.
Swami, like, how can there be any action in this world that can lead to joy without any sorrow?
That's what Vedic rituals say. Vedic rituals will give you that state of mind which will experience Niratishaya Sukham with sorrow attenuated to the extent that you don't even notice it. That's the promise which Vedic scriptures give. They're not so easy. They cannot be taken so easily.
We still have that knowledge. We still have these data. Then why aren't more people doing this? If this is the
People have lost faith in it. Because it is not immediate. You have to wait for some time and then
It's a matter of practice.
conviction. Astikya buddhi. And astikya buddhi has to be there to be, it's not that, see, you may not be, there are many who are doing, by the way. Just because you are, don't say people are not doing. People should not be used in a sweeping sense. You say some people are not doing. There are many who are doing.
Sri Shankara opposes.
This is not opposing. They say that these are limited. They, in Taittiriya Upanishad, introduction to Taittiriya Upanishad, there it is clearly argued that The person who gets Brahmanandam through the knowledge, that Brahmanandam is nothing but Swarganandam. That Brahmanandam is nothing but Swarganandam. And that Swarga is promised by the Vedic rituals. So there is an opposition that comes in this particular argument. Shankaracharya comes in, he takes several such arguments, and then he furnishes his arguments against all these questions. That's why I was careful in using this term, that Atishaya Sukha is Sukha in which your sorrows are attenuated, not obliterated. I was careful in using the terminology if you had noticed it. Attenuated means made thin, not obliterated. Obliteration of sorrow comes only in Brahmananda. That's what Shankaracharya uses as a point in defense. He says that Ananda that your Vedic ritual is promising, it is Niratishaya Sukham to the extent that the sorrows are only attenuated, not obliterated. For which the karmikas, they accept it. They accept that idea that the sorrow is not completely eliminated. But Brahmanandam eliminates your sorrow, eliminates. There is zero sorrow. After having reached Delhi, will you get the idea that you have reached Delhi, or still you have to do some journey? That's it. No more journey to be undertaken, no more sorrows to be felt by this person. They are tall order promises. It appears tall order because we have not done the initial practices, but they are fabulous.
So, as per my understanding, if I can mistake, there are three yogas in the Gita, right? There's Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga.
Actually, Gita, 18 chapters, all the 18 chapters are named after yoga.
Yeah.
Some other yoga. Correct.
Okay. But
Yoga means method in a generic sense.
I've heard it classified in this way as
Yes, this is a very what you call as this is summarily classified, you can say, as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Correct.
So this bhakti is also faith only.
Bhakti is certainly faith. It's based on faith.
So how is this yoga faith different from the faith which I would need to do this Veda, like this ritual of the Veda, or any other activity?
See, Bhakti is faith on the God as your protector, God as your inner dwelling self. Faith is unconditional. You put an objective and then you condition the faith. Faith by itself is unconditional, right? It's like saying something like saying that strength. What does strength mean? Do you mean muscular strength? Or do you mean strength of your vocal cords? Of which I am suffering. Or strength of your intelligence? Or there is something of strength of your Atma Bala. The strength coming from your Atma. So strength is per se an unqualified term. You put an object and then you qualify it. So faith likewise is unqualified.
One person is asking how to stop reaction from other words. Easily I get angry and react a lot.
I wish I could give him the advice, because I myself often we lose our poise, mental poise. Abhyasa is the only way. You see, there are what you call as response to stimuli. This is a very technical phrase. All of us know that. There is a stimuli from outside and there is a response from it, right? So the response to stimuli needs to be doctored. We should not jump into giving response to stimulus. So that means what? Be it a favorable stimulus or an unfavorable stimulus, we have to exercise caution in showing the response. So somebody all of a sudden comes here, hey guys, I've got tobacco ice cream for each of you guys. Suppose somebody says that, my lower self will urge to put my hand out, say, yay, I got it. So that yay thing, you are bursting out with joy. That is a very impulsive response to the stimulus that is coming from an offering of a very palatable thing to me. Correct? So at that time, can I recollect myself and then say, okay, let me take it. See, both of these guys are going to enjoy the same palatable thing. But the guy earlier, he loses himself and then takes it. The other person collects himself and then takes it. So so you start with something which is favorable. Never lose yourself when favorable things come to you. Then automatically you will find that this exercise of restraint becomes a kind of a habit which you can exercise at times when things are not favorable, like when people are using insulting words.
You spoke about charity at one point, and you said that doing good deeds or
Punya karma. Punya karma, virtuous deeds.
Yeah. So virtuous deeds, I can do them without having like a calm, like
Without having desires. Without expecting anything in return.
but I can do them having desires.
Nothing wrong with it.
So, I mean, specifically, I think that Shloka was saying that if you do good deeds, they will be rewarded in the next life, or they will be rewarded at some point in some way. It will help you along the spiral.
You see, there are only two states of mind. One state is you do an action expecting a return. You do that same action without expecting the return. These are only two states of mind. If you do an action without expecting a state of return, it completely converts into spiritual energy. Completely. You don't have to define spirituality at all. You don't even have to be aware of spirituality. You don't need to know scriptures. You don't require any kind of mental conditioning. The moment you engage in action without expecting that particular energy that has been spent, and there is some reaction, part of the cosmos, there is a reaction. That reaction becomes your spiritual energy. Okay. Now you expect a return and then do something. Question is that expecting the return, it will certainly fulfill. Either in this birth or elsewhere. Or at some other time. Now, the fact that you have done something and you have expected return, the fact that you have done some good thing, correct? This is because this is a punya karma. And the fact that you have expected a return, the punya karma now takes a specific format. This accumulating such punya karma, what will happen is, it will take you to, and then you have exhausted your life. But you have accumulated a lot of punya karma, for which you have to enjoy the results. This will levitate you into the Swarga Loka. Punya Loka. This is called Punya Krita Loka. That's what the scriptures say. There you enjoy the effects of these punyas, and scripture says, once these effects are exhausted, you come back to the world. So either your expectation gets fulfilled in this birth itself. If in this birth it doesn't get fulfilled, you go to the Swarga Loka, there it will get fulfilled. But without fulfillment, you will not get another birth. It will get fulfilled.
So that is not helping along the spiral which we are talking about.
Yes, it will help.
Okay.
The reason is, it gives you memory. Through memory, it helps you. past memories are there within you. So the memory gives you a mental conditioning. You may not be aware of the specifics, but you are aware of the direction. You are aware of the momentum.
And sorry, when you're talking about results, I assume you're meaning material results.
Material, obviously.
If I'm doing something for the satisfaction of my own self. Like,
So see, satisfaction of your own self, that is it's a very shady term. Very, very shady term. There will be some kind of a material connection with that satisfaction of one's own self. But in its purest form, suppose if you succeed in that, if you are able to remove all kinds of material association with the notion of satisfaction of oneself, if you are able to remove those material notions successfully, correct, then that self is nothing but Atma, and that desiring and self-satisfaction of the self is not expectation at all. That doesn't go with the name expectation. If you are successful in eliminating all kinds of material association with that idea of self-satisfaction. Many of us say, but it is not so. In the corner of the mind, there will be some material association. Someone related to you will be benefited. By that, someone related to you will be benefited. And then that gives you the kind of satisfaction. After all, it is coming there. Meaning to say that your mind is not able to forget the calculation. What is meant by expecting something in return? It is getting caught in some calculations. See, while doing the work, it requires your engagement. That's okay. But in expectation, your mind is doing some calculations.
can I try to clarify that a little bit?
Yeah,
Let's
sure,
say-
sure, sure.
Let's say I have given some money with the expectation that it will be used for some good work.
No. That is not expectation. That is purpose. You are giving money for a purpose. For fulfillment of a purpose, you give a money, a scholarship to a student who is in need of money. So to fulfill the purpose is to make him, to enable education by gifting that money to him. So that's for that purpose you are giving. It is not expectation.
But
That is a wrong usage of the term.
But my game of thought is that let's say that person fails, or let's say that money gets lost somewhere, right? It's for some reason it's not able to achieve the objective that I had set for it. If I get disappointed from that, doesn't that mean that I was dependent on that result?
You are dependent on the result, not the purpose.
Okay.
So that means you are doing the calculation. The purpose has got attached to a calculation, and the calculation is that I am giving this money for his education, and this education he should get 80 marks. See, that he should get 80 marks out of that, as you are already preconditioned yourself. That is not, that is expectation only.
Correct. So that is the expectation.
That is expectation, obviously. Purpose is only direct, which is immediate, which is tangible. He has to pay the fees. If he doesn't pay the fees, he is out of the institution. So what is the tangible purpose here? Purpose of the donation, that he gets his enrollment is not at stake. Job done. You have nothing to do subsequently. Can you detach yourself at this point? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. See, all these things, very easy to talk. Goes and ahead and practices, no? At every pade means at every step, you have to do a lot of course correction. One thing is that you have to be mercilessly naked to yourself.
So, sorry, the reason I was asking that question is yesterday I